Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into the Homesteads YouTube channel. On today's episode, we're going to talk about black raspberries, one of my all-time favorites. So we're sticking with our script so far this year of focusing on the native species that we planted on the lot. We're in zone 5 as the title suggests, and I'm just going to quickly read through the health benefits as I always do at the start of the video here. So 1 cup of black raspberries weighs about 123 grams, and you're going to get 64 calories from that. 1.5 grams of protein, 0.8 grams of fat, 14.69 grams of carbs, 8 grams of fiber, 5.44 grams of sugar, more than half of that being fructose, 31 milligrams of calcium, 0.85 milligrams of iron, 27 grams of magnesium, 36 milligrams of phosphorus, 186 milligrams of potassium, 1 milligram of sodium, 0.52 milligrams of zinc, 0.111 milligrams of copper, 0.824 milligrams of manganese, 32.2 milligrams of vitamin C. Then there's trace amounts of thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin B6, 26 micrograms of folate, 41 international units of vitamin A, 1.67 milligrams of vitamin E, 9.6 micrograms of vitamin K. A lot, a ton of stuff, a huge amount of stuff. And while it might be in small doses, this gives you a little bit of everything. So another thing that is found in large quantities, 3 times the amount of antioxidants as blueberries are the antioxidants in the black raspberries. So these statistics, they come from, I don't just research this stuff and throw it out there. This is peer-reviewed stuff, so these are actual statistics for sure. And the Oregon Raspberry and Blackberry Commission provided you with the nutrient content. And I'm going to quote the Ohio State University calling these the king of berries in terms of health benefits. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Acai berries really would probably give these a run for their money, and we have some of those as well in the lot, but I digress. So just a couple more scientific terms here before I get into the planting recommendations. So phenolic compounds contribute to the health benefits of black raspberries. The 3 main things that they assist you with are anti-carcinogenic properties, antiviral, and antibacterial. In vitro studies actually show that tumors have been slowed or reversed in breast, cervical, colon, oral, and esophageal cancers. So that's a pretty big deal as well. And the university also says that 60 to 80% of colon tumors in rats have either reversed or slowed, and 80% reduction in mice with esophageal cancers. And so basically this has led to the start of human trials. So really a great idea to plant these incorporate these into your permaculture lot. Okay, so now we're going to get into our specific variety. This year, you can see right down here, this is a jewel black raspberry. I bought 25 canes, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get a bunch of cuttings out of them and spread them all throughout this area of the lot. So yeah, quickly I'm going to go through some of the planting recommendations. So this is a perennial crop, a plant that's best grown in zones 4 to 8 in full sun, and will grow 4 to 5 feet tall with a 2 to 3 foot spread. So these ones here we did not plant, and this is not full sun, as you can see. In fact, this area is shaded most of the day, but sometimes you have to let nature do the speaking to you. So 2 years ago there was 1 cane here, and I assume it was dropped in some bird feces, and it took root right on top of this gigantic willow tree's root system here. And 1 cane turned into 8 the following year, and last year we probably got around 4 or 5 cups of fruit of berries from this plant. So you can see the flowers here, And yeah, this is in, I wouldn't even call it partial sun, it's dappled light. The willow leaves allow a certain amount of light through, but they never get direct sunlight, and you can see that everywhere on these stalks there are flower clusters that have formed. And yeah, I expect to get more just from this species that showed up here on its own last couple years ago. So yeah, I'm definitely not following the full sun recommendation, but you're more than welcome to do that if you're really interested in harvesting large quantities of these. I got ours as bare roots, so they do recommend that you amend the soil with some compost or some other organic matter, and they prefer a pH of 6.5 to 6.8, so slightly acidic. You can see in this region here, the darker branches are the canes that we planted this year. You should plant them 3 feet apart and in 6-foot rows, but these native to North America species, it wasn't a good time unless you got a couple needles in the leg as a kid and walked through some poison ivy to get your treat. So I'm not planting these in rows. This is our property line here that we've kind of put a little brush fence up, and I've planted these right up against there to just allow them to spread in this region. Another recommendation is you're going to want to keep them about 100 feet away from red and yellow raspberries. The cross-pollination can cause some problems. And then when you plant them, you're going to want to ensure that you plant them a couple inches deeper than the root and kind of where it was grown from. You'll be able to see that. Plant them a couple inches deeper. These things will spread on their own anyways. They're a strong plant, so don't worry about rot and things like that happening to the cane. Just maybe 3 inches below where the root ball is formed. You're going to want to make sure that it has good soil contact and there's no air pockets. So if you're not planting bare roots and you're planting out of a pot, ensure that you give it a heavy water. You should water all your plants after you plant them anyways, but ensure you give them a good water and a good pat down to ensure that there's just no air pockets around. You can mulch as needed, and one interesting thing is that they only spread by touching the soil and obviously their seeds, so you don't have to worry about them kind of layering out. But as I say this, here is the one that kind of volunteered to show up on our lot, and there's a shoot growing out, but it is coming out of the same stalk. You can also trellis these things. You can see it's quite windy today and they're getting blown around quite a bit, but I'm not too concerned with that. I planted these, like most things on our lot, with the idea of getting an abundant amount of them without having to provide much care. I'm not going to compost into the soil here. That we have very fertile soil. I'm not going to mulch around them. They're not in direct sun. I'm pretty much flying in the face of everything that is dictated to do with these. But I really, due to the fact that these ones grew on their own, I absolutely expect that these will do well. And again, they're a native species, and as these grow up, I'm going to take cuttings from them and I'm going to plant more and more in this area, and it's just going to be a giant bramble bush at some point. And I'm going to have to wait in there with some jeans on to get our berries from the plants. But a couple more quick things before I go. They only produce on second year canes, so on the second year you're going to get your food. So we'll get a lot of food from these next year. And even though I say that, some of them are pushing out flowers, so I must be doing something right here. And after they're 2 years old, they won't produce food again. So just cut them down maybe 30 inches from the ground, and they'll grow back and they'll produce more food for you the following year. But yeah, they're a really great species to plant and consider. They freeze well, they can well, they taste great, full of health benefits. I mean, a really, really great plant to have on your property, and might take up a lot of space. I've planted them all the way down from that apple tree through this section here and over to my wood pile there with the 25 canes, and this will explode into growth. But that's it for today, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in as always. If you could hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. It would get the message out more, and any new subscriptions are always appreciated. Thanks a lot again, folks, and take care.